You've done a lot of heavy decluttering work so far, but maybe you're starting to notice the piles and the clutter start to creep back into your home. You've been busy, you've fallen out of routines, and now the piles are growing and your stress levels are growing along with those piles. This is typically a problem with lack of consistency. So what we're diving into in today's video is just that. How do we become more consistent so we can continue decluttering our home, make sure the piles don't come back in, and get to the finish line of a simpler home? So people often ask me, what's the difference between a routine or a system and a habit? And essentially a system is the entire dance. So let's just say it's the cha-cha-cha, okay? And the habits are small repeatable actions within the cha-cha-cha. So they are the moves that make up the dance, which is the cha-cha-cha. So a move would be like, I don't know, like the cha-cha-cha makes up the cha-cha-cha. I'm not a dancer, but you get the idea. Whether it's a habit, which are the small actions within the system, or a system, both of them are ultimately repeatable. And being consistent, and the more consistent we can be with those, is going to be so fruitful when it comes to progressing towards your goal. And if you want to overcome lack of consistency in your life, it's important to recognize why it's important to begin with. So number one, consistency is going to help keep you accountable. Number two, you guessed it, consistency is going to help you reach your goals, whether it's exercise or decluttering, it doesn't matter. The more consistent we are with those habits and systems, the more likely we are to reach our goals a heck of a lot faster. And for all my perfectionists out there, know that radical consistency, it doesn't come from a focus on the end result or on perfection. Radical consistency happens when we focus on the process. Yes, the messy middle. And I wholeheartedly get it that when we are drowning in mess and the clutter is coming back in and we're busy and exhausted and fatigued, we don't want to be in the messy middle. We want to be in the beautiful after photo. We want to be relaxing on the couch with more time and energy and less piles of stuff to battle. But hear me out. The most important parts of our journey that help us get to the end goal and the outcome we want all happen within the during phase, because that's where we prune, we pivot, we grow, and hopefully we build resiliency. The messy middle is also where we have lots of roadblocks and questions that we need answers to that come up. So it's going to be up to you to find answers to those questions. Maybe that's why you're watching this video right now, right? How to be more consistent so you can reach your goal of a simplified home. So focus on the process and also your trajectory. Don't focus on the outcome or where you are today. Maybe you had a great week last week. You got 15 minutes in, maybe 3, 4, 5 days for the last few weeks. You're feeling good. This week, you have a sick kid. This week, you're sick. So don't be so hard on yourself when things fall off track, because you have to understand that consistency doesn't mean never falling off track. We have this idea that kind of consistency equals perfection. That ain't the case. I don't know why I said ain't. Because no matter how hard you try to be consistent, you're going to make mistakes from time to time. Again, you're going to go through different ebbs and flows in life with different amounts of time and energy. And life just gets in the way sometimes, doesn't it? Life is never perfect. The key is to keep going after this happens. If you sink into the mistake, the self-doubt, the guilt, the shame is what keeps you stuck and what keeps you from getting back on track and back into your consistent habits. So don't do that. So let's talk about some ways to be more consistent. Number one, by far, is to set your goals. When we don't have a clear action plan or even clear end goal, it's hard to create the action plan to reach that end goal. The steps become muddled. We don't know what to do. And when the steps aren't clear, we typically don't take action. Procrastination sets in. We say we'll do it tomorrow. And it's like, tomorrow never comes. And how do you know what you need to be consistent with if you don't have a strong idea of your goals? And your end goal might be, I just want to declutter my whole house. And that is an amazing goal. But how can you break that into smaller, more actionable and manageable goals? You know, maybe one week it's work on your closet. Maybe the next week it's a linen closet, bathroom vanity, surface areas. We need to break this down into smaller action steps so you can figure out what habits and actions you can be consistent with in order to reach those kind of sub goals. Number two, stop equating consistency with intensity and volume. You don't need to declutter 20 minutes a day, every day until the day you die. Sometimes I have students that come to me and they're like, Katie, I was on such a good roll for like 2 weeks straight. I was decluttering 20 minutes every day. And this week got busy and now I feel really crummy about myself. I didn't get anything done, or I only got 1 box of things out of my house instead of 20 from the last 2 weeks, right? What are they doing? They're comparing their 1 box this week to their cumulative 20 boxes over the last 2 weeks and we're going, well, I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing a good job. Cue a great opportunity for, what did we say? Self-doubt, shame, all these things that come into our mind and just stop us in our tracks. Like, what's the point? And it doesn't feel good. Decluttering a junk drawer and a lot of superficial and easier clutter, you're probably going to accumulate more faster. But as you start digging deeper in your declutter journey and tackling the could be helpful clutter, could come in handy clutter, and sentimental clutter, all of those types of clutter take a heck of a lot more mental and emotional bandwidth in some cases than it does to just tackle the low-hanging fruit. This is really where I say focus on your trajectory, not your position. If you are even decluttering 2 minutes and got 10 minutes in this week, that's still kudos to you. Don't compare it to the 2 hours you got done in the last few weeks. Sometimes in order to make progress, we think we need to show up consistently and we think an hour a day or 2 hours a day, whatever that number is for you, that's just outrageous and unrealistic for most people. And showing up for just 2 minutes a day is so much more powerful than we realize. But what do our brains typically do? We go, oh my gosh, well, what's the point of doing 2 minutes? That's not going to get me far. So instead, we opt for the easy route, which is to do nothing. But with that 2 minutes, what you were doing, if you were doing 2 minutes every day, which again, it's not a big volume, it's not very intense. The goal isn't to just get as much out as possible, although that's great. What the goal is here is you are mastering the art of showing up. You are getting consistent with the habit of doing 2 minutes a day. And what's really beautiful about this is here's the thing. If you set a timer on your phone for 2 minutes, what's going to happen the majority of the time? You're going to keep going. Maybe you'll do 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. And it's so much more doable. And if you do the 2 minutes and end, kudos. I'm giving you virtual high fives. This is amazing because again, you are getting consistent with that habit. So focus on that first, just showing up to the plate to bat. I think that's the quote. And then you add the intensity or more time if you want. Place reminders around your home. Sometimes it's really easy to forget about our habits when we lead busy lives and we're just tired. So to help give you those friendly reminders we all need, put messages to yourself in visible areas throughout your home. Here are a few ideas I've used in the past and a lot of my students swear by. Things like a permanent donation bin. If you don't have a permanent donation bin somewhere in your home that is visible and easily accessible, you are missing out. This acts as an invitation to be filled and again, as a friendly reminder, hey, what can I get rid of today? Affirmations. The reality is we all have these self-sabotaging thoughts, this self-doubt, guilt, shame, all the things we reference and we talk about in a lot of my videos. So you need to come up with some positive statements and or affirmations, whatever you want to call them, to help challenge those thoughts that keep you stuck otherwise. Put a few of them around your house, maybe on a bathroom mirror or the front of the fridge. I promise you the more you read it, say it out loud, dig it into your brain, it's going to help rewrite that thought pattern and help get you unstuck and moving forward. If you don't have a permanent donation bin in your home, maybe it's just a matter of before you go to bed at night, grab an empty Amazon box. You probably have one lying around your house anyway that hasn't been broken down. And when you wake up in the morning and go to make your coffee or make breakfast, you see that friendly reminder, that empty box, and you spend 2 minutes putting as much as you can in there. Use your phone. I think the stat right now is the average iPhone user touches their phone over 2,000 times a day, which seems crazy to me. But I mean, the reality is we all spend a lot of time on our devices, whether that's a laptop or a phone. So you can set a background on your phone, which could be that positive statement. It could even just be a smiley face. It could just be like, hey, dude, make sure to declutter today or sometime this week. Again, we want to make these fun, friendly, and just these little nudges. I had a student come up with a brilliant idea. She left a mason jar on her kitchen counter and on scrap paper put random numbers between 1 and 20 on those pieces of scrap paper. Put the scrap paper in there and each day she'd pull out a piece of scrap paper with a different number on it. And that's how many things she decluttered that day. She didn't necessarily do this every single day. She really enjoyed this because it felt more fun, exciting, and it felt more like a game to her. And guess what? When we enjoy what we're doing, it's easier to be more consistent with it. For example, I don't need to figure out ways to be more consistent with drinking my coffee each morning. Why? Because I enjoy drinking coffee. I like making it. I like the process of grounding it in the hot water, and I like the smell. And of course, I like the taste. The idea is it's not a struggle because I enjoy drinking coffee. So think about things you enjoy doing that you are consistent with and tie that into decluttering. How can you make decluttering a little more enjoyable? I promise it's possible because if it's something you look forward to, it's a heck of a lot easier to be more consistent with it. And anytime we're trying to introduce a new habit, say for you, that's decluttering at just 2 minutes a day, because that's where we're going to start. The best thing you can do is find a habit that you are already really good at and attach your new habit of decluttering to that habit you already have. Now, it makes sense for a lot of us to pick a habit within the home that we already have. So my guess is you brush your teeth every night, right? You're probably somewhere in your bathroom, and we can multitask while we brush our teeth. You can open up a vanity, you can walk into other spaces with a bag in your other hand and just start filling things up, or you can wait till after you're done brushing your teeth. The idea is find something you're consistent with, attach decluttering to it, make it make sense, right? You want it to be something you're doing in your home. If you each morning, like me, unload your clean dishwasher and put things away, you can spend your 2 minutes right after that finding a spot in your kitchen to declutter. Think about the different spots in your home you are each day and each habit you have within that. You could easily attach 30 seconds here, 2 minutes there of decluttering in each individual room or space. I'm telling you, it makes it so much easier. Being consistent is one of the most important parts of getting your home clutter-free and keeping it clutter-free. But maybe you're really burnt out on your declutter plan you've been following. So click the video on your screen now to learn my favorite declutter plan that you can do no matter how busy you are, and that won't burn you out.